Hey, I'm Desiré Moses, coming to you live from In Your Ears Studios in Richmond, joined by an audience of WNRN members. Our guest today is Humbird. Thanks for being here, Siri.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
Siri recently played in Richmond. You may have caught their show there. Also, Red Wing Roots Music Festival earlier this summer. WNRN members may have been able to catch the band there. The new full-length album is called Right On. We've been enjoying spinning that record on WNRN. There's a new project slowly being released into the universe as well that we're going to get into later on. But we'd love it if you'd kick us off with something from Right On.
Yeah, we'll just do the title track called Right On. I'm not mad, but I should be, since true love proved unlucky. I cast the die, I stain my hands on wrongful judgments and half-baked plans. I was right on in loving you, dead wrong in thinking we couldn't lose. I'm not crying, but I wish I could. Heart snapped off like plywood. How will I sand these scales from my skin? I just wanna be soft again. I was right on in loving you, and dead wrong in thinking we couldn't lose. Right on in loving you, and dead wrong thinking we couldn't lose. What is it about the space between? We fit so much inside and then find it's empty. I'm not singing in an empty room. If you're hearing this, I hope you know you're right on too. You were wrong before, and that's nothing new. We're all suckers for the way that love makes us fools. So right on in loving, you might be dead wrong, at least you're trying. Right on in loving, you might be dead wrong, at least you're trying. You're trying. You're trying.
Siri Unlin, a.k.a. Humbird, live on WNRN, right on the title track to the latest full-length record. So, Siri, I've seen that you've described this album as sort of a companion piece to your sophomore disc that came out before this one. But you've also talked about how when you were crafting this album, you did so sort of out of a place of anger, whereas in the past, you'd usually pick up the guitar from a place of sort of sadness or introspection. So can you talk to us about how crafting this album was different than your previous work?
Yeah, I think that, any album really is a little time capsule of where a certain songwriter is at in their life. And the Ride On album, I was writing on my electric guitar for the first time and had a lot of anger swirling around in my own little microcosm of a life, but also just observing the world around me. And I think anger gets a bad rap for maybe good reasons sometimes, but it's also such powerful fuel to pour into the things you love and care about. So that's definitely the focus of this album, which is just how do I channel this energy into change, into collaboration, and into connection. So yeah, that was the focus. Although while I was writing and angry on my guitar, I was more just cranking the amp up and just getting it out of my system for sure.
Now, I want to back up a little bit because I want to ask you about Ghost on the Porch, a song that we've enjoyed spinning on WNRN, which you had said has started as sort of a short story or a fairy tale. But before we dive into that, I do want to back up and talk about the Watson Fellowship that you did. So can you let the audience know what that is and what you studied?
Yeah. I was a 2013 Watson Fellow, which is a fellowship for recent undergraduates to ask a question and go travel around the world for a year. And the only rules are that you can't come back no matter what, and you have to travel alone the whole time. And my question was, how do people use music to tell stories? So I knocked around the Arctic Circle, was on the west coast of Ireland, spent some time in Germany, just kind of focused on Northern Europe and those traditions of story and song and how they overlap. And I kind of thought I thought I would maybe be a professor someday talking about folklore and folk music, but I got to shadow all of these artists that were going from pub to pub or school to school. And it was really my first window into DIY touring, although no one called it that. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be in the classroom. The magic is in the world, and it's in making these stories and passing them on as opposed to taking them apart and analyzing them. So it was a very formative year in a lot of ways, but I definitely wouldn't be here without that fellowship. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So taking what you learned from that fellowship and then folding it into, the career that you've had, how does that impact something like a song like Ghost on the Porch, which you've described as a fairy tale of sorts?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's clear from the way I'm answering these questions, but I'm still a big dork, and I love fairy tales and folklore. And kind of on every Humbird record so far, there's been some fairy tales or nods to folklore and mythology in different ways. Ghost on the Porch is a short story that I wrote, but it didn't really sit right as prose, and I was working on it and just banging my head against the wall, and then finally it was maybe this wants to be a song, which sometimes that happens with creative ideas or stories. You're trying to force it down one avenue and it's just not quite right, so it became a song. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'd love it if you play it for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Said the woman on the porch. She was my mirror image, just standing at the door. I asked who sends me from this place? You a liar or a warning or a ghost with my own face? Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. The one who was not me cried out. Soon the storm is coming and you must not
Ghost on the Porch, Humbird live on WNRN from In Your Ear Studios in Richmond off the latest full-length Right On. Siri, would you mind introducing who's joining you and playing with you today?
Absolutely, I would love to. On bass is Pat Keene, bass and synth and drum machine. Pat Keene and background vocals. Pat and I have been playing music together for almost a decade now, through a lot of thick and thin, so always fun to share the stage. And then we've got Nate LeBrun on drums. Nate has been playing with us for the last year, and it's been just an explosion of ideas and good vibes with him joining us. So I feel really lucky to be on stage with these two.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy that y'all joined us today in studio. I want to take it back. So Siri grew up in Minnesota, and in addition to music, also from what I've read, was an avid athlete. And hockey, one of those sports that you were very into. But hockey sort of led you to music in a way, or it's kind of intertwined. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's such a winding, hilarious road, but I'm sure everyone in this room or listening has a similar thing where you're like, dang, I can't believe it worked out like that. But I grew up playing ice hockey, and I was fully obsessed, and it was my defining focus in life. But then also there were these triplets on my hockey team, the Coughlin triplets, and they were Irish, and they played Irish music, and they asked me to play music with them. So we were like 12 playing traditional Irish music. And their dad was like, showing us all these Irish music legends. And yeah, so I'm not Irish and I don't have like that background at all, but grew up playing music with them, and it like totally changed my life. So.
Were you playing guitar in that band?
Yeah. They kind of needed a guitar player, and I loved to sing. So just kind of making music with my friends in the basement, but just happened to be specifically Irish ballads.
Casual.
It's so funny to think back on the songs we were singing, because like the ballads can get pretty dark. It's like a lot of like murder and like, war and like immigration was like what we were singing about. We were like 12. We just had no idea.
Well, speaking of ballads, a nice segue into my next question. So you've announced a new project, Astra Van, the love song Vignettes. Mm-hmm. And so the concept is 1-minute love songs, and you're going to release a song a week through the new year. So as of now, we have 2 out into the world. What can you tell us about this project and, the idea of 1-minute love songs?
Yeah, well, I always kind of didn't enjoy happy love songs very much. I thought they were kind of like boring often, and I also felt like it was kind of rubbing it in, like hear a happy love song on the radio, you're like, okay, whatever. But then I did fall in love and was happy, and I was writing these happy love songs, and I didn't want to be annoying about it, and I also felt like the shorter the better. And then there was an artist, Tierra Whack, who released an album called Whack World, and every song was 1 minute long. And I was so like, oh, okay, so there aren't rules. Like, I can do that too. And so these vignettes kind of were a bunch of different threads coming together. And they're not all happy, ironically. Like, they start off happy and then kind of explores mortality by the end. But that's part of love too,
Very thrilled that Tierra Whack is a touchstone for this project. Yeah. We'd love it if you'd share one of the vignettes with us.
Yeah, for sure. We'll sing one called Rosemary that came out really recently, and goes out to any gardeners or plant talkers in the room.
1, 2, 3, go.
This morning I caught you talking to the rosemary plant, like an old friend, a watering can in your left hand. And when you turn to opine to the cherry tomato vine, I saw your heart, gave you mine. Is there anything more lovely or strange or funny or total?
Thanks.
Humbird live on WNRN. The new albums are Right On and Astra Van, the love song Vignettes. More to follow. Siri, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was really fun.
Thanks to my WNRN colleagues, Tanner and Ann, who are here, the whole crew and staff at In Your Ears Studios. For WNRN, I'm Desiré Moses.
Woo!